On behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, TTUTA, I greet all female workers today and all women and girls in Trinidad and Tobago on the occasion of International Women's Day 2022. The perspective of many persons is that this commemoration can be divorced from workers and workers' rights. I wish to remind us that International Women's Day was born out of the social advocacy of some 15,000 women who, in 1908, marched through the New York streets demanding shorter working hours, better pay, and the right to vote. International Women's Day was celebrated in 1911 in the European countries of Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland, still highlighting the plight and conditions of female workers. It continued to be a struggle for female workers and their rights when, during the wartime strike in 1917, Russian women demanded bread and peace over the calamities of war. 4 days into that particular strike, the then Tsar of Russia was forced to abdicate his throne, and the provisional government instituted granted women the right to vote. That strike began on March 8th, and this became the date that International Women's Day is celebrated, the power of the woman worker. As a trade union, TTUTA salutes all women who operate in all sectors of society and who have tirelessly supported their families, their colleagues, and their communities in navigating the trials and challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Across all regions, women have been more likely than men to drop out of the labor force and become inactive during this crisis. The heavy burden of unpaid care work that remains unequally distributed, and a glass ceiling showing high resistance to women leadership are prolonging gender gaps in employment, as well as contributing to violence and harassment in the world of work and in the home environment. Providing meaningful support, therefore, for the mental and emotional health of our female workers have not been the focus of systematic and consistent policy initiatives by the state. Instead, various non-state actors, including trade unions, have had to fill the gap. As we in Trinidad and Tobago commemorate International Women's Day 2022, TTUTA calls on the relevant state agencies and decision makers to engage in meaningful social dialogue and policy development to assist and support our female workers in all workspaces. Such initiatives must also include the expeditious ratification of ILO Convention 190 of 2019, which speaks to the prevention of violence and harassment in the workplace. If one were to take note of some posts on social media and comments by certain local personalities from time to time, it appears that there is still a prevailing culture in this country that when women speak out and advocate, especially when their message is not popular, these women are vilified and reviled. In this day and age, are we to still tolerate the misogynistic approach by some that women workers, women trade unionists are not to speak their truths? Is it that the voices of women workers and their representatives are only worth listening to when the message is congruent with those who believe they can control the destinies of these workers? So on the one hand, we talk about equity and fairness while cursing and insulting women who speak out. As the first female president of TTUTA, I assert that I will do all in my power to empower women, to empower female workers in TTUTA and in this country, to find and use their voice and to use them loudly. For the days of insulting us and subjugating us are long, long gone. The agenda and focus for International Women's Day were expanded when the United Nations began observances of the occasion in 1975. This year, 2022, the United Nations announced the theme for the observance as Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, with a focus on combating the forces of climate change and creating a sustainable future as the world emerges from the ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic. Nations are encouraged to take the necessary actions to safeguard the welfare of women and girls. As a trade union, TTUTA has a significant role to play in terms of communication of fulfillment of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in this country. Our advocacy, messages, and social mobilization around the goals must always be part of our broader mandate to promote the cause of education in Trinidad and Tobago. We must, as a civil society actor, identify our actions towards mitigating the effects of climate change on women and girls in this country. Furthermore, the hashtag for this year's celebrations, #BreakTheBias, encourages us to imagine a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. Comrades, might I humbly submit that this call to action, as it were, should be the catalyst for a sustained and concerted campaign in our various spaces to change perceptions and attitudes, eliminate biases, and remove stereotypes and discrimination in the various situations where they exist. Striking the pose must not only be action taken in this regard. I urge us all throughout the year to do what is necessary to break the bias. As I conclude, I wish to say thank you to all those male family members and peers who each day lend their love and support to our women and girls so that they could fulfill their potential. I urge the men of our nation to value and respect our women and girls. They are the bedrock of our society, in many instances, the foundation of our homes. Let us unite in the common cause of equity and non-discrimination as we forge a nation built on respect and tolerance through the love of liberty. Happy International Women's Day.